Hello everyone. In this video, I'm very happy to take a look at the ZGameEditor Visualizer plugin for FL Studio. Now it's kind of funny because it's been around for years, and even before FL Studio purchased the application, it used to be a standalone application. So even before that, it was quite known and quite used kind of in the underground for video creations. And then when FL Studio bought this plugin, they invested actually very heavily into it, and it became this really incredible tool. Now, it's when I say it's kind of known and unknown at the same time. Like if you're watching music videos on YouTube, there's tons and tons of stuff where you can kind of tell that it was created on this, and a lot of people do know about it and use it. But I still encounter people all the time. They're like, "Wow, this exists!" So yeah, it definitely exists. Let's take a look at it. So what is this tool? Basically, it is a plugin for FL Studio. Now, another cool thing is that you can even use it with the free version. If you just want to import your song and make a video clip and export, and you don't care about saving it or for later, like re-editing or anything like that, you can just use the free version of FL Studio. Free version is unlimited in the sense that you can just use it forever, but you cannot save either presets, or you cannot save your projects and reload them. So that's the limitation. But anyways, so what I have here is the fruity edition of FL Studio. So that's 99 euros. And what I will show here, I think, is just in itself worth 99 euros. So it's kind of incredible that it's even included in FL Studio. So anyways, it is a visualizer plugin, as I mentioned. And the very simple way to load it is I have here an empty file, just nothing at all loaded in. I go to my master track. You can kind of place it anywhere, but it's just, I think it's just the most common sense way is just I put it last on the master. And then when you load it up, you have the visualizer plugin itself, and you have the little preview window over here. Maybe my only gripe with this app is sometimes the preview window. It's very rare, but if I like close my monitor, my laptop, and reopen the screen, sometimes it kind of, I don't know, gets stuck on some weird size or something like that. But it's actually very, very rare. But anyway, so that's the preview window where you will be previewing everything that you're doing, and this is the actual plugin window. Now, as you can see here, there's various things that you can do, but before you get intimidated by everything, there is also a wizard here. So if I click the wizard, you will see that it immediately gives me tons of options, and it assumes kind of the use case for creating a quick video clip, like, so let's say for YouTube or for social media or whatever for your song. So on a very, very basic level, you can just open the wizard. You can browse all these like sort of, so there's presets and there's wizard presets. It's not exactly the same. So I go here. Yeah, whatever fits your vibe. For example, if you really strictly want to go that route, you can give your song the title. So we will be working with, I have here a few files that I prepared. So we're going to be working with an Ocean Star Empire track. It's called Rebellion in Module 7, and we're going to make a video clip for this. So let's just do these things as we go and explain the plugin. And yeah, so the song title, Rebellion in Module 7. The author is Ocean Star Empire. And you know what? I don't want to comment in this case. So I have these things in here. And let's say I kind of like this background for some reason. And then even on the wizard itself, you also have some controls. So you can kind of select various things here as well, like a process to apply. So kind of like a filter above the whole thing. And you have some controls over here for the process, like relevant controls for the selected process. So let's say I want this grainy thing. And then I also have this editor over here, which lets me quickly edit the text. So basically the wizard has all these like really quick access to the things you would want if you're making a video clip. So super, super handy. I can change the size, I can do whatever here, and I can, maybe the most important thing, size and move it around. So I can place it wherever I want, and I can do the same to this band name thingamajig over here. So let's say I did that. I can close the editor because let's say, yeah, I don't want to view this thing, right? I want to view my beautiful creation over here. And I can also, of course, in the wizard, well, it does change the placement when you change the font and styling, basically, of the text. So anyways, we're not going to keep this thing in the wizard itself anyways, so I'm not going to like redo this thing, but to show that you can select the fonts. And then you can also select the sort of, in the foreground, you can select a sort of a, not oscilloscope, like a peak analyzer thingamajig. And for that, you actually need to put an audio file in there so that it responds to the peak. So actually, let's do that. Let's quickly close the wizard, go back to FL Studio and show that everything is actually we're not just creating some video animation, we can sync everything we're doing to the audio. And this is the main selling point of this, as opposed to, you can make your videos anywhere, right? Like in After Effects or wherever you make videos. I personally really am not a video guy, right? I don't know how to make really cool videos otherwise. So this is a reason why I really also love this tool. So anyways, we inserted our track. Maybe let's take, let's make sure that, all right, let's try it. So we're playing. Purposely, I'm not routing the sound into the video in our case, hopefully. But if we now look, we see that the peaks are responding over here. So that's kind of a cool thing that you can, everything that you're doing, even if you're on the wizard level, you can have things that are responsive to your music. So let's close the editor one more time. Let's close the music one more time. And let's look at some of the things that you can do here. Again, the wizard, one last thing on this, it had its own presets, but you also have like application presets over here. So if I go to presets, there's tons of additional things and pretty elaborate. So it really kind of gives you a starting point for lots of things that you can do. But in this particular case, actually, even though I love checking out the presets and the wizard and everything, it's so easy to work with this thing and get really, really good results by yourself that I think this is really the way to go. So as you saw, I defaulted to the initial preset over here. And at the moment, there's no algorithms running, so the preview is empty. And you see here that I have various slots, which I can, open additional ones. And let's undo quickly. Oh, so the undo undid the whole thing. Hang on, let's go back to the default. So you can have additional slots. I don't know if it's limited. I didn't reach a limit. You'd probably be limited by your CPU way earlier than you would be limited by the number of slots that you can add. So I'm not sure, but you can add kind of to your heart's content. And once you add a slot, you can choose from tons and tons and tons of different algorithms that do different graphical things. Some of them are quite simple. So let's say you just want to load a background image or something like that. Some of them are really elaborate and do really crazy peak or physics effects. So for example, well, this is more simple. I want maybe particles is something to show. Colors and various things. Some of them respond to the music, so it's not doing much now, but let's see if it responds. Or we have to kind of maybe edit it a little bit. I'm not sure what this guy is. Why is it not showing? Interesting. I thought that it's supposed to do kind of plasma, this one. All right, never mind. Let's not get stuck on one of them. But there's a lot of stuff. So for example, these fluids over here, and you can use them in such creative ways. So you can kind of make a wandering star system. And as you can see, each one of them, actually, this is a great point. You have so much control. So I'm moving things around. I'm changing the saturation, and then I can change the hue. I can make it as I did just now, so it's really taking up the whole screen. I can make the scene spin, and now it's already an animated scene. And already this is quite beautiful, actually. So let's maybe play around a little bit more. I'm wondering if I can, so yeah, that's what I was looking for. Maybe the points can have, whoa, check this out. They can have different sizes. So this is quite interesting. Now, nothing stops you, for example, from taking this layer. Now I did Control C, I copied, I pasted it. Now we have layer A and layer B. And what if we want, so now we have two of these. So one of them can be a different hue, for example, and maybe this one actually doesn't wander around so much. So how about we reset the wandering? And how about we, yeah, now we see, how about this one is on the edges? Yeah, amazing. So maybe it's purple or something. Great, so now we, well, and you know what? How about the rotation? Where was the rotation? So I'm thinking let's rotate it just a little bit, the spinning a little bit less. So that goes a bit slower. This is a little bit faster, kind of rotating and doing its thing. And maybe this one can be just a tiny bit smaller. So at the edges, it doesn't overlap. Yeah, pretty cool, right? Or maybe it should. I don't know, that's the thing, you can play around. All right, so we have these two layers. And now, you know, as before with the wizard, we had text, right? So how do you add things like text or even your own pictures and things like that? So let's do both. Let's add some text and let's actually also add the album cover. So this album has a really cool cover. The cover also has text in it. So we have the album name and we have the band name. But what we don't have is the track name. So what did I throw in here? I threw a track called Rebellion in Module 7. So we're going to use the background graphic from the album and for some of the text and to show that how we load a picture, and then we're going to actually also add text. So let's go over here and, well, before we add, well, we need the extra layer as well, but first we need to add our content. So this is another really, really cool thing about this application. If you go over to this content tab over here, you can add a lot of various things actually. You can add images, you can add videos, you can actually add your webcam so that it shows webcam material when it's exporting. You can add presets that you previously saved from somewhere else to your preset list. You can do really, really crazy things. I will show even how you can add even additional algorithms towards the ends of the video. But right now, we want to add an image and we want to add some text, right? So how about we go and do, what is this? Oh, okay, I guess this is from the previous thing. All right, so let's add our picture. So we're going to go to our folder and to this folder I prepared. We're going to choose our cover and it's added in here. So it's not yet displaying, obviously, we're not doing anything with it, but it's added as an asset. And then let's add some text. So we said this track is called Rebellion, and I'm going to add it in all capitals. Of course, it's up to you. So Rebellion, oops, in module 7. And I'll show you some really cool trick with the text over here. Again, you can add other things. You can add meshes. Let's already add one mesh. We're not really going to use it, I think. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe we are. But I wanted to show this. So meshes are 3D modules. And a disclaimer here, I downloaded various online. So I found some websites. It's literally this thing, 3D Studio Models, and it has 3DS files. And I downloaded some of these files. Some of them didn't work, and some of them did work. So I'm really not sure what kind of format it really exactly needs, but you can play around and you can actually load files. So it does work. I guess there's some disclaimers. I'm not exactly sure what they are. So we added the mesh, we added our text, and we added our image. Really cool. All right, so now we want to do something with this. So maybe let's first add the background image, and over here we can select from our various algorithms. Over here we have just image effects, and we can do various things to the image. Let's start by just doing image, and as you can see, it's loading none right now, but if we tell it cover, amazing. So we have Ocean Star Empire dots on maps. We can see the cover. It's loading it at the size that it is at the moment. You can do some things to it, like spin it around and whoa, stretch it, and so it becomes super ugly, and you can even change the lighting and like saturation and colors and stuff like that. And you can also give it rounded corners, which is quite cute actually. So we can actually use it like that if we want. Let's kill this for a second. That's actually kind of cute. I wanted to show some other things. Let's remember that we have this image file with these settings that we like. And you know what? We don't even have to remember. Every single layer can actually be saved as a layer and recalled later. It's kind of like saving presets, but individually for the individual, they call it layers. I call it algorithms up to now. Okay, yeah, layers is a cool word for this. So let's save layer to file, and yeah, maybe let's put it in the same place. That doesn't matter actually. So let's call it our, I don't know, background. Oops, caps, whatever. I don't think we're going to reuse this, but just to show that we can save and load our layers. So there's one thing you can do with the image. This is, again, it's just loading the image. It's not really, it's manipulating it, but it's not animating or doing crazy things to it. But there are other algorithms that can take the image and do things with it. So here we have image box. This is image mashup. And this is if you have more than one image. So it's trying to load a second image that we didn't load. You can have like this sort of mask for the image. And you can play around with a lot of things, repetition. So again, it really depends on the image. This is kind of ugly, right? But you can add patterns and textures from images where it makes sense. It's just algorithms that let you do things. This is actually kind of cute. Check this out. So with this particular image that we had, wow, and we can even kind of see the title and everything. But you notice one thing, when we're looking at this right now, it's covering our fluids. So we have actually a number of ways that we can actually fix this. The first way is that each layer also has an alpha channel. So we can kind of blend alphas. So if we want, we can do something like this. But I think in this particular case, it's not exactly what we want. We don't want to make this image less bright. Like we don't want it to have less of an alpha. We just want the other things to be on top. And what if we already set this? So we have two options. We can click here and drag, and then it will move it. And we can also click here and do move layer left. So now it's to the left and it's under everything else. And you can now clearly see that the little fluid thingamajigs are on top. So you have this layering system as well. It basically goes from left to right. But I don't know. I don't really like this sphere, to be honest. So let's continue showing just a couple more things. So we have this spinner object, and we have a bunch of stuff. But what I wanted to actually maybe use is this HUD control, and I wanted to take the image. So why is it in this? Why are we not showing our image, to be honest? Now I'm unsure a little bit. Okay, I think, yeah. So this particular thing can take different sources, and you need to tell it to take the image source. All right, but we do actually need to move it now to the left. So maybe you all actually saw a little bit of a kind of debugging with this thing, right? Make sure where your layers are and that you're taking the right sources and all of that. So anyways, with this particular algorithm or layer or however they choose to call it, you can have more control over the scaling. And this is kind of what I wanted. I wanted to place this really in the background and center the text for the like band name and album name and have this really cool thing kind of be around. Yeah, let's go with this scale. We can also rotate, and we have a lot of other stuff that we can do here, but I think that in this particular case, I'm going to leave it like this. It's beautiful. That's what I wanted. Now I'm not so sure about those fluids. They're a little bit dirty, but let's not make the perfect video, but just to show the layering and the different work that we can do. Cool, so we have our image in, and the next step would be to take in our text. And there's again a number of ways that it's possible to do it over here. You can simply draw the text. You can use TrueType, which is another thing, another option here in the content. You can add HTML TrueType text, but we're going to use the HUD text thingamajig. same as we used for the image, like from the same category. And this already, you can see that it loaded in our text. We can move it around. Let's first maybe place it somewhere where it's logical for us to work with it. So how about here? I don't know, some way halfway between, yeah, I don't know, that looks kind of cool. Doesn't need to be absolutely perfect. All right, now we have our text in there, and I stopped the music for a second. Now we have our text in there, and we can start playing around with it. So first thing that you will notice, you have this text line thing. Maybe let's add another quick text line just to show. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can decide which line we want to show, and this is important. I'll show in a second why. And we can manipulate, of course, again, the alpha, the hue, the saturation, all those things like we did before. But what I like also here is that we can do this sort of glitchy thing that I will show in a second, but let's first select our font. So let's go for something, I kind of thought about this before, so this Orbiton kind of works on some level. Let's just choose that. We can then select our font size, and we kind of work with the XY placement and the font size to kind of put it where it makes sense. So let's center it as much as we can. Again, not making it absolutely perfect right now, but close, let's say. And a cool thing I wanted to show here is that you have this randomization of the characters, and it's particularly cool for this kind of style of track that I have here. It's a psychedelic science fiction sort of space Goa trance thing, and it kind of randomizes every now and then the letters in the text that we have here, depending on the speed and the amount that you set. So let's set just a little bit. So every now and then it's going to ever so slightly sort of glitch. And why is it not glitching? Okay, maybe it needs a little bit more. All right, so maybe something like that. So every now and then it glitches a little bit. Maybe it's too much, but just for the example. And we already have another animation going, right? So we have our little fluids, two fluids actually. We have the background for our album name and all of that, and we have our text. And we can even do another couple of things. So how about we add some peak visualization somewhere. So let's go here and let's go to peak effects. And again, you see we have a number of options over here. So we have this audio plane. Let's play our music. And we can play around with this, and maybe kind of we can scale it. We can place it wherever we want. But I think this, I don't know, it doesn't really fit here. Let's look for something else. So there's various things, but I'm thinking maybe, well, this could be one option. What if we take these peaks over here, make it super big? That's too much. Really vertigo inducing, but you could do something like this. I'm just saying, you know, play with the hue, do something like that. But I think, yeah, that's maybe too much. How about we take this polar thingamajig and maybe let's see if we can kind of place it somewhere. I don't know, maybe it's too ugly. All right, let's go back to this one. Let's take this simple one because I think we can place it over here on the top, and that will be quite nice probably. Cool. Yeah, something like this. And then of course you can play with the size. The location, I can play with the power. And maybe we need, like, let's saturate it, but choose a color that makes sense for us. Or maybe it's even too saturated. Maybe something like this. Lots of bands, maybe less bands. So it's a little bit more. Again, lots of control on these things. Look how granular the control is. It's so beautiful. I love this plugin. It's just, I can't believe it comes with FL Studio like this. So anyways, we have our little peak thingamajig. There's other ones that we can use. There's lots of stuff that we can put on this. Maybe let's look for one more cool thing. I don't know. Let's just find something. Oh, okay. You know what? How about let's do a post process. So post process basically takes everything that you have and destroys it on some level. So this one actually turns everything into ASCII. Super cool. But yeah, let's look for something that is a little bit more, yeah, not an audio shake, maybe not a bloom, maybe some glitch. There's some really cool glitchy things. Hang on. So something like this jitter glitch. Smudge, no. This thing, look. It's kind of, look what it's doing. It's bending really fits the music. And you can make it go really fast, but I think we want something kind of slowish, right? Like it's ever so often it's kind of, how about, let's see how it was reset. Yeah, it was super slow. And you know what? There's lots that you can do here, but let's literally not, like I like it. So let's keep it like this. Maybe that's finished right now. Well, it's maybe too much. I don't know. Okay, yeah, I forgot I'm doing a video, like it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's quite beautiful. And of course, yeah, if you spend a little bit more time on it, you can make amazing things. Yeah, not just like super fast. And again, there's no real limit to what you can do. You can add scenes, you can add, like, it's really crazy. Like, look, you can add really crazy stuff that's built in. You have like these built-in scenes. You have really crazy things. Just explore. Like I keep being speechless. Like every time I find like another layer that is super useful, and I find how I can control it, and it's super cool. Anyways, but now we did all this, but this is really not everything. I would like really to show how it kind of synergizes with the audio world and with the way FL Studio works, right? So the really cool thing about this is that it's not just limited to what you're doing over here on the screen. Remember, this is FL Studio. Every control can be either linked to an external or internal controller, or an automation clip can be created for it. So let's do some example for this. We have our, what should we take? So how about we take our text, and how about we connect the color of the text. So let's give it saturation so that we see the color. And at the moment it's this sort of whatever it was, this cyan thingamajig. Let's put it wherever. And then let's go here, right click, and do create automation clip. Now what this did, the very standard FL Studio workflow, it immediately created an automation clip for me. And this is an automation clip now that controls this parameter. So I can really kind of now I can do whatever I want with this parameter on the timeline, just like any other control in Fruity Loops. So of course the concept of timelines, like FL Studio did not invent this for video applications or for any applications, but the simplicity of the way it's done here, right? Like the way it's simple to work. Like this is one of FL Studio's strong suits when you work with audio as well, right? Like just the ease of use and the quickness of all these automation clips. And the way that you can now assign all these crazy curves to it, and like really do fun things. And yeah, all this kind of stuff, right? And now if we play our song, our color will slowly change and evolve. So if it's here on blue, now purple, and as it goes through the automation, it is automating the parameter, so we can also see it, obviously. So it is this hue thing that is moving over here. So that's one way you can control it, but there are obviously additional ways. I mentioned external controllers, so of course you can connect it to MIDI. But FL Studio also has the internal controllers, which are super cool. So I can go over here, for example, and add a controller. And for example, I can take this formula controller, which is basically a way to enter some math and get like a formula that spits out values. And this thing even has LFO presets and randomization presets, but let's take an LFO. So now if I connect this thing somewhere, it will produce this modulation as seen here. And of course, this can be controlled. It even says, you know, A is base level, B is range, and C is speed. So let's go now to another thing over here. Let's go to the color, just for the example of the peak linear peak thing. So this hue over here. So let's take this, and now instead of doing create automation clip, we're going to do link to controller. This is the same, and you have the same power as like all the links. Just anything you do in FL Studio, you have also this really quick way to do mapping and all of that. But let's very simply just now select the formula controller output, accept this, and now this thing is moving. So it's moving kind of crazy, of course, and it's really up to you how you want to have it. Now it's maybe too much, but again, so you have this, and this is just another way to control all these things. You can, to your heart's content, automate and just do everything as long as your CPU can take it. Really, really up to you. It's crazy, right? Like I keep being amazed every time. Maybe the last thing, we did load the mesh. You know what? Let's actually now at this point, let's okay, let's, before we load the mesh, so before I wanted to clear the preset, but maybe show first the export settings, because this is quite extensive as well. So let's say I like this. Now I want to export my video clip. I'll stop my song for a second. I like this. I want to export it. I click over here, and you have really extensive export settings. You have a lot of presets to work with. So if you know you're doing like a Facebook story or whatnot, but you also have really, really high-end options. So you can select the YouTube 5K preset, for example, and then you can also kind of customize your export. So even further over here, you can choose the bitrate, you can choose the codec to use, and you can even choose the frames per second, oversampling. You can choose an uncompressed video. You can choose the codec and bitrate for the audio export. So you have all these options. Of course, yeah, the higher, so 5K video will take a while to export, but I have to say, so something like this track, so I'm on an M3, 2024 M3, not a Max, not a Pro, just a normal M3 computer with 16 gigabytes of memory. And something like exporting what we see here, I would estimate that it takes, well, it's a long track. It's like 10 minutes or something like that, maybe even more. It would take like 2 hours, I would say. Depends, maybe less. It really depends on the algorithms over here. And it's kind of hard to tell. So it could be that these fluids are super cheap. It could be that they're super expensive. It's not necessarily the look of the algorithm, like what it does, doesn't necessarily mean how heavy it is. You need to kind of experiment. But again, it's not something that's like really, really bad. Like you can for sure work with it and you can for sure export. So this is for this video. Let's imagine now that we kind of did this video, we're done with it. And let me show you just a couple of other tricks. So how about we just go to a completely empty default preset. And let's even remove this track from our timeline, because I wanted to show something in addition. What if you want to, you don't really want to, let's say, well, hang on, I don't want any of this. So I want an empty pattern. Well, you know what? It doesn't need to even be an empty pattern. I don't know. So let's, my point being, is that if you're making something that is not a video clip, let's say you want to export some text or some background and you do want to take it somewhere else to After Effects or whatever application that you do want to actually make a video with further editing, and you just want to make some background. So you can just place something here on the timeline, something empty or whatnot, it doesn't matter what, and just so that it knows the length of the timeline, so that you can export something. So that's kind of a tip that I wanted to give, because maybe you don't want to work with audio, you don't want to make a video clip, but you want to use some of these amazing algorithms. So I don't know if I can find it. There's so many things here. There's some of them that I really, really like. Yeah, I guess it's really hard to kind of reuse because there's so much. Okay, I won't bore you. Well, was it this one? Nah, anyways. So what I did want to show though, maybe we don't need an empty one. I have my preset here. It's called the mesh example because we did load a mesh earlier, right? So this is the same mesh that I loaded earlier in the mesh box. And just to show that, yeah, you can have the 3D objects. You don't need to load it simply like this. So it doesn't need to be as an image box. You can also kind of, you have like this mesh text where it will use the mesh to draw the text. It's kind of crazy. You see the goose over here in the middle, and yeah, so you can use the meshes in various ways. You can also, some of the algorithms use the mesh. The way you know is if you can load, like you saw right now, I'm browsing and one of them didn't let me load an image. It doesn't have to be a mesh, it can also be one of the images. Some of them let me do it. And yeah, you just need to find out. So this one you see, yeah, we see the goose somewhere here. And it's kind of interesting. Yeah, there we go. It's interesting what it does with it. You can get really cool things. It doesn't stay a goose. Like you can use now this goose in such creative ways. All right, yeah, so super interesting also with the meshes. One thing to note is, let's say now, okay, you have like, you played around, you loaded a bunch of things. It happened to me a bunch of times where I was like just messing around and maybe I had some stuff that's covering something else, like something is in the background, you don't even see it. It's not even doing anything, but like especially, I'll tell you when this happens. If you start with the wizard or with with a preset over here, you adjust some stuff, you add your own layers on top, and then there's stuff on the bottom. When you export the video, all this stuff on the bottom is still happening. So super important, if you're not using something, at the very least turn it off. My suggestion is literally delete it so it doesn't like interfere with anything. So only have the stuff that's actually doing things turned on. When I forgot to do that, I had like an insane thing going on here. And then it took a really long time to export, like 5 hours. And I kind of noticed it only 1 hour in. I didn't want to restart it. And I just reminded from now on, just really to check and everything. So I think that's most of the cool stuff. Maybe two more things. So one thing that you can also do except make videos. So let's go back actually to a very initial preset for this example. You're making videos, you're making clips, you're doing VJ sessions, all cool. But you can also use this thing to export a bunch of shapes and different things that you can use in other places. And you can actually do that by clicking here. Save still image, and you can have various sizes already here, but you can also do a custom size. And this is super, super cool because, for example, with this, so first of all, you can do it with anything, right? You can have some beautiful layer doing something. You can even make an album cover in this thing or whatnot and save in really high quality. But I wanted to show the shapes for a second because there's tons and tons of stuff here, like really cool panels and different things. So I'm thinking even for, so you know, we make plugins at Ocean Swift. So even for application development, you can kind of come up with like really cool things, either for your prototype or for your end product. You can mess around, you can load multiple of these prefabs and you have just really crazy, crazy stuff. I don't know, it's super cool. I'm loving it. You can literally create really, really insane things. So how about, and then you can save the whole thing as a screenshot, and yeah, so again, save still image, and you can do that. Really, really interesting as well. And then maybe the last thing. So you have all these algorithms over here. Again, I don't know, there's hundreds in the end, but you can also import additional algorithms. So just as one example, I just wrote on Google. I didn't really, it's really simple to find these. I don't know how many there are. Maybe there aren't hundreds. I have no idea, but you can find some. You can make your own as well. This is part of the point. And yeah, this person over here made a free piano roll visualizer for ZGame Studio. And you go to his page. The file itself is super simple to download, pianoshooter.zgeroj. And there's a kind of explanation how to install this and how to get going. And once you do that, you will have this particular algorithm available as well. in the application itself and you can use it. And this is what it does. So this particular thing that this person created is a piano roll visualizer. Basically, it will visualize whatever you have going on a piano roll track that you're sending to it. So again, that's also another really, really cool thing about it. Like, there's so many amazing things. And yeah, so again, huge amount of presets, huge amount of use cases to begin with, actually. Let's start with the use cases. Huge amount of use cases, huge amount of presets, huge amount of Wizrd presets. Everything syncs to the audio. Huge amount of algorithms. Insane robust customization. You can load your own assets in so many various ways. You can have automation clips. You can link to internal controllers. You can link to external MIDI controllers. You can export screenshots. You can like extensive support for various video formats and export formats. It's useful with the free FL Studio. The full thing comes with the cheapest edition, with the €99 edition of FL Studio. Wow, so just amazing, and I really recommend that you check out this plugin. Not only, you don't need to be a video maker. I'm not a video maker. This is the one thing that got me into this world, actually, and started getting me interested in this, because I can get really amazing results, even if they're not like maybe 2-hour movie creations. I can create layers, as you saw here, and then pass it on even to other graphic designers that have more skill in assembling different parts of videos together, that they can use my various like sort of backgrounds and different things that I created. All right, so thanks for checking out this video. I hope it's an eye-opener and that you have some fun with this thing. See you later.